Hello and welcome to the fourth part of my video about Next War system advanced rules shown on the example of the Next War Vietnam game, which is so far most recent game of the series. And yes, this is the fourth part of the video, and it turns out to be one of my longest videos ever made. Yeah, but well, if I want to show you this how this system works in details, I have no other choice but to go through with all this stuff. Alright, so let's return into our player 8, and we went through initiative, movement and combat phase, and now we have a second strike phase, which is played in the initiative turns only. It says, same as first strike phase, except the carrier-based aircraft cannot perform strikes. So, if we have our American carrier group here, it just left Indian Ocean holding box, and it has some aircraft here. These two should be flown, sorry. So normally we would be able to use these two aircraft, especially this one, white vessel would be quite handy, but we can't. Alright, as for the all the other stuff is the same as the first strike phase. So I talked a lot about it before, so I don't think I would need to talk about it again. So we can skip it for now. Of course, this is not a video how to win this game, but I'm focusing on the rules. So showing you everything else, once again would be pointless, I believe. So let's move into the second supply phase, again initiative turn only. Now this is quite interesting because for us, for the turn 1 of the game, this is actually first supply phase, since you don't play first supply phase in the turn 1 of the game. Alright, start. Remove out of supply markers from the units that are no longer out of supply. No, we don't have any out of supply markers on the board so far. Check for unsupplied units. Place out of supply marker on any unit that is unsupplied. Alright, so now the fun starts. Let's talk a bit about supply. In this game you have two different things that you have to care about. Supply and supply points. First, supply. As for supply, we have a quite handy player 8 here that shows us distances between units that we have to keep to get our units supplied. In this particular game, supply bases are our edges of the boards with highways and primary roads coming from. Then we can use also ports, urban hexes, and these are our supply bases. As for Vietnamese units that belong to the certain military regions, they also are able to use towns. Finally, we might use our supply bases. For example, Vietnam has a supply base here. We can also use our headquarters or our mobile supply point units to make our supply lines longer, which is quite useful when you are going through the enemy land and you want to keep your units in supply. Alright, so let's check if our units are in supply or not. Let's start with China, and I think they don't have much trouble so far. Let's take a look at them. Sorry, gotta move some stuff a bit. Alright, first you may ask about these airborne units here. Yes, they should be definitely out of supply, because we have a supply base here, our beachhead, but this hex and that hex are in the enemy zones of control. But airborne units have supply automatically in the entire turn where they were jumped out and make their paradrop landing. So they all have a supply. We don't have to worry about them. and now all these units in the west. Now, they are not very far, so we can check for this highway as their supply line. So we are we are checking supply in the style of motorized units. So we are checking if we can trace a supply line from this edge of the board with motorized points. And here is highway, so we have to check how many movement points we pay for motorized units moving through the highway, and it is 1/3. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, even 4 would be here, but it's 4, so our mobile supply unit is in supply, and now it can trace more supply points, sorry, more supply line to the units here and there. So these units are all in supply. Alright, that's fine. The question is if these units are in supply, and I think they are not. Why? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, sorry, for the secondary road it is a half or 1. Need to make check. 1. Oh my, this could be bad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So no, they don't have supply, so we have to mark them as out of supply units. There will be a way to carry them some supply later, but I will talk about them when we will finish tracing our lines of supply. Alright, so now these units, I think they are all, they don't have to worry about it, because as for this group, they have their line here, so they are all in supply, and here is also, there is a supply base here, so they are fine. And now these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, so they are all in supply. 1, 2, 3, 4, so they are in supply. And now the question is if they are in supply as well. We have a mobile supply unit here, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, all of them are in supply, so they are fine. As for Vietnam, I don't even have to check, because you can see they can all trace supply lines from their from the canoe or from this base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so they are all fine. And you may ask about this unit here. They are a mobile region unit, so they are in the town, so they are in supply. Alright, so everything works fine for Vietnam. And now let's talk a bit about supply points. Each player has a number of supply points at the beginning of the game, and sometimes he gets some more as reinforcements. And how they are used. First, according to the game's special rules, we have to pay supply points if we have Allied units on in the Vietnamese airports. So we have a couple of American airplanes in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, so we have to spend 1 American supply point. So let's take a look on the matrix table. We have 5 American supply points at the beginning of the game, so we have to pay 1 of them. Next, we also have a couple of British planes here, so we have to pay 1 American or 1 Vietnamese supply points for them. Alright, so they are fine, they are supplied, so we will be able to use them in the next turn as well. And finally, you may ask about this unsupplied unit here. if he's doomed to be out of supply? No. We can always try to do something with this stuff. And this is something called emergency supply. When you have your units that are out of supply, you may try to give them some emergency supply, but you have to spend some of your supply points and make a roll in the emergency supply table. So we have two Chinese units that are out of supply here. So let's try to resupply them. We have to make a separate roll for each of them and spend one supply point for each of them. So first for the one which is above the stack, 9. Oh, this is bad. You can see, as for ground unit, we have to roll 3 to 5 to make, 2 or less, and 3 to 5 to make it supply. So they are not in supply. I have to spend one supply point for that stuff. And now for the other unit, 3. Well, they are fine. So this unit below, is in supply. We spend another supply point, and you may spend at last 3 supply points for the one phase to do so. Alright, so I think this concludes supply phase. Let's take a look on the player 8. Extend to supply points to attempt to resupply unsupplied units or HQ. Convert supply depots, mobile supply units to supply points. Alright, that's the other thing I would like to talk. You can see that we have where did I have it? Oh, here to show you. We have supply bases, supply depots, mobile supply units, and we can always convert one supply depot into 2 mobile supply units, and finally we can convert our supply depots and mobile supply units into supply points if we need them so bad. If we have a feeling that our units are all right, they won't be need that kind of supply, but you need the supply points very badly, you can always convert your depots and mobile supply units into supply points. This is not something you would do at the beginning of the game, but later, when you will spend a lot of your supply points and there will be a dire need for some emergency supply, you may always spend these units and convert them into the supply points. This is not something you would do every time, but this is still an option when you are in need of. Alright, so that's all the stuff when it comes to the second supply phase. And now, what we have next? Basic movement and combat phase. This is in fact again movement and combat phase, but this time it's quite shorter because it doesn't have elite reaction movement, exploitation movement, and exploitation combat. So we have basically one movement segment, one combat segment for attacker, and one movement segment and one combat segment for the defender. Alright, let's start our movement with Chinese units moving first, and I will start with a strategic display because I have one thing I want to do here. I'm moving this Chinese carrier group into the South China Sea. As you can see, this sea zone is enemy controlled. So, to see if I can actually even go there, I need to make contested sea movement. This means I have to make a roll. Oh, sorry, my camera moves all by itself today, and I have to make a roll to see if I am able to enter such a zone. So I will make a roll. It is 3. It is pretty good because I need 5 or less to get sea movement successful, but I have to check for the die roll modifiers. For each surface action group, carrier group, okay, I have a carrier, so I have -1. It is 2, good. Air supremacy? Nope. At last, one inshore box, enemy friendly controlled. No. Both inshore box is contested. Anti-submarine warfare level Allied only? No. Submarine threat Allied only? No. We are not non-Allied side. Mine markers? No. Non-Allies cruise missile? Well, I could spend cruise missiles, but I don't need it. And that's all, because we have even more rules about cruise missiles. So I'm not spending cruise missiles, and I have 3. -1 because of the carrier group, so I'm fine. I can enter South China Sea. And I think that's all when it comes to the strategic display. Oh, there's one more thing I would like to show you. I have one amphibious group in China. Amphibious groups are cool because if you don't need them, you can still use them. In fact, you can convert them into surface action group. They are not as strong as regular surface action groups, but they can still be useful. So I'm converting them into surface action group, and I'm moving them into the Gulf of Tonkin. So they will provide me some modifiers in the further turns when I will roll for this Gulf of Tonkin sea zone control. Alright, that's all for the strategic display, and let's go onto the operational board. Let's start here in the west. What I want to do here, I will attack here probably, so I would like to move my headquarter and my artillery a bit. And now this Vietnamese division blocks my way here, so I think I will move my units here and I will try to push it away. Alright, that's all when it comes to this part. Now, let's take a look on the south. Do we have any stuff here to do? Well, they will be defending this area. I will move this headquarter here. Now, I have 2 brigades on this hex, and I think they will try to attack this Vietnamese division here, but that's all. And now north. We have a lot of stuff here on the north, but are we able to do something? I think we are. Alright, so here I have to take care of this division, so I will launch my attack on it. And here I will have to attack this division with my units, and I think I will move this artillery 1, 2, 3, so it will be able to support this combat. I will move this mobile supply unit a bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's still in the initial supply range. I can move it even here and it will be still in supply. Alright, that's pretty good. And I think that's all when it comes to the Chinese movement. So let's go into the Chinese combat. Where do we start? I think here. What kind of units I have? 2, 6, 8, and I am attacking into the jungle, so 8 plus 3, it is 11. Oh, and this is leg unit. This means that we have 11 against 12. It doesn't sound good, yeah, I know. Let's take a look on the combat results table. So we are fighting in the jungle and we have 11 against 12, so it's 1 to 2 in the jungle. Not good. We have to do something to change it. First, I have +1 because of the turn 1 combat. Next, a Chinese player has to choose one of his leading force. It will be this mechanized brigade. It has combat efficiency of 6 against 5, so he has +1. He's using this artillery, So he gets additional +1. And that's all. So I have 2 to 1. That's better. Now support. I will call for these helicopters if I can. They spend 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, they can. So let's roll for the local detection. 3. In the local detection table, I think they are not detected, but I have to check. 3, they are not. But no, we have -1 against attack helicopters, so it's 2. So they are detected. So Vietnamese player is allowed to fire on them with SAM, and Vietnamese SAM is 6. We have 7. 7. It is a miss. This is good. And now as for anti-air artillery, 6. 6. We have -1 for combat helicopters while firing with AIA. Even so, it is a miss. Good. Good for China. I am placing this counter like that, so it was used twice. And I get -1 because of combat helicopters. Now I'm going to call for air support. And I'm calling for this unit, this Su-30, with the long something here. It has quite a nice combat support, but it has to be detected or not. Let's make a roll. Wow, it wasn't detected at all, I believe. 7 with the detection of 6. No, it wasn't. Alright, so now let's make a roll for anti-air artillery. 8. Wow, that's a couple of good rolls. So anti-air artillery did nothing. So he provides -3. 1, 2, 3. And notice that you can't get more than total of -6 with your air and naval support. So he flies into the flown box. And now Vietnam. Vietnam is not calling for any support, so they don't have any modifiers, so I'm going to make a roll. 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. Three is 1, 2. This means that attacker suffers 1 step loss, so his leading unit suffers 1 step loss, and defender suffers 2 step losses, so this division is eliminated. And Vietnamese units are able to capture this hex. Alright, that's good. Next combat goes here. I have 3, 6, 10, 14, and I'm also calling for my headquarter support. Where is my headquarter? Here. It can provide me 5 points of support, so I'm moving it like that. So I had 10, 14, and now plus 5, it's 19. It's 19 against 12, so it's 1.5 to 1. And now any modifiers. I will use this unit as a leading force, so I have +1. I have another +1 because of combat attack in the turn 1, so 3 to 1. I will call for my artillery, so I have another +1. And that's all when it comes to the column shifts. And now the modifiers. I will call for another Chinese support. And now, because it is quite important attack, I will give them escort with these J-11 fighters. Okay, let's make a roll for detection. 4. Oh, I think they were detected. Advanced detection. Yes, they were detected, but not early detected. So fighters are, we don't have any more work for them. So they are returning into the flown box. And now we have to roll for anti-air artillery. First for SAM. 6. 6 for SAM. It is a miss. And now for anti-air artillery. 6. It is a miss as well. Very good rolls. So they can provide us nice -3 modifiers. Good. They are returning into the flown box as well. Okay, and I think that's all. Oh, no, not all, not all. First, a Vietnamese player has his own AO units and he calls for their support as well. I am sending this mission. This F-22 will be escort and this Su-30 will be a combat support mission. Let's roll for the Chinese detection. Chinese detection is very high. It's 7, 5, 5 in 7. It is detection. So fighters don't have much stuff to do, but we have to roll for SAM and for anti-air artillery. First for SAM. Oh my! Very bad roll. Chinese SAM is 7 and in the 0 it is X. AO unit suffers 1 step loss. And now for anti-air artillery. 4. It is -1. It is +1, so it's -1, so they don't have any combat support now. Oh, that was a bad luck. Because their combat support is already 1 now, and they get +1, so this means that their combat support is reduced by 1, so it's 0, so they cannot provide any combat support. Alright, so Vietnamese player even so gets -1 because he's in the town. So he gets 2. And now let's make a roll. 3 minus 2 is 1. That's pretty good. It is -1, -2, retreat. So leading unit suffers 1 step loss and Vietnamese unit suffers 2 step losses. It is eliminated and it retreats. So Chinese units are able to capture this Lang Son and they can go even further if they want to. I think they would like to. And I have to mark this Lang Son as pending control. Alright, that's the entire combat here, and now we have even more combat on the west. Okay, let's take care about this situation, and I think I won't even attack here, or maybe I should. Well, the most important situation is here. I need to take care of this Vietnamese division, so I will focus most of my units on this combat. So, this is a jungle, so I have 3, 4, and 7 against 8. But I am calling for my headquarter. It provides me +5. So I have 12 against, I have 12 against 8. 12 against 8, it's 1.5 to 1 in the jungle. And now, I'm using this unit as leading force, so 6 against 4, so I have +2. I have +1 because of the first turn combat. I am calling for artillery support, so I have another +1, so it's 5 to 1. That's pretty good. And now I will call for my air support again. This unit. And now need to roll for detection. Oh, they weren't detected, so only anti-air artillery. 5 in the column of 2 is nothing. Alright, so they are fine. They can provide me very nice -3 combat support. And they are returning home, doing their job just fine. And as for Vietnam, I will try to do the same. They are flying here, and they are trying to avoid detection. Oh, but they were detected. I believe this was yearly detection in the column of 7. No, it was just detection. So SAM roll, good. Anti-air artillery roll, very bad. 0 means abort. So this mission was aborted. Oh god. Oh. Vietnamese player has a poor luck with die rolls. Alright, so now do we have any other modifiers? Yes, we have +1 because they are in the town. So -1. Sorry, and that's all. 1. Ooh, Chinese player has very good luck. We have 1, -2, so it's -1. It is 1, 3, air. So, attacker suffers 1 step loss of his leading unit. Defender suffers 3 step losses. This unit can only get 2 losses, so it's eliminated. And retreat, this means that Chinese units might move here and here. Of course, the one that were involved in the combat only. Alright, I think that's all when it comes to the Chinese attacks. I don't have to do much, or probably I would play differently if it would be serious play, not just an example. But, well, that's just an example, so I don't have to take care about all the stuff. I'm just playing to show you how the stuff works. Okay, so now we have reaction movement. This is basically the normal movement phase for the Vietnamese units. So let's take a look on them. Do they have to make any movement? The problem is here. These Chinese units have a free way here, and these weak marine Vietnamese units probably won't be able to offer them any serious resistance. So I will move this armored brigade 1, 2. I will move this headquarter a bit here. I hope it will be able to get rid of this nasty strike 2 marker. Now this this brigade, it has to spend 1 to leave enemy zone of control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, because it enters enemy zone of control. Alright, that's all when it comes to the movement here. And on to the west. Yeah, on to the west. These guys are moving here into the Ba Hoa. And not much else I can do. Alright, so I think that's all when it comes to the Vietnamese movement phase. And the Vietnamese units are not attacking anywhere. No, they are not attacking anywhere. So that's all when it comes to the Vietnamese movement stuff. And we are finishing basic movement and combat phase. Next we have isolation surrender phase. Remove isolated markers from the units that are no longer isolated. We don't have any isolated units. Check for surrender for all units that currently being isolated. And now we don't have again to care about it because we don't have any isolated units. And now place isolated markers on any units that cannot trace a path of land hexes free of enemy units or their zones of control into their friendly supreme headquarter or supply source. Okay, and now this unit can trace because here, here and here and there. All the units in the north they can do, and all the Chinese units on the south, they are airborne units, so they don't have to care about it in the turn they were paradropped. So they are fine. As for the Vietnamese units, I think all of them can, because their supreme headquarters is here in the Hanoi. So I think all of them can trace the line. They can. Oh, do they? Yes, they can, because as for their supply source, it is their south edge of the board. So they can trace a line to the south edge of the board, so they are fine as well. And on the north, I think all of them can trace a line to the Hanoi as well. So no problem. This stuff goes problematic later when you play more turns. Some of your units might be surrounded by the enemy, some might be cut out of supply, or some of your units might just go too far. That happens, and you have to care about it. Alright, so isolation surrender phase is done, and now we have reorganization phase. This is another long phase. First, rotate all helicopters to reflect no missions. Alright, so all our helicopters that were used in this turn are now marked as no missions, so they will be able to be used in the next turn freely. Next, return air units in the air superiority box to the ready box. Okay, so we have to move to the air units now. Let's go on. Do we have any units in the air superiority? Yeah, we still have some. Or maybe not some, because it's one. Okay, if we still have any units in the air superiority missions, they can return into ready box. Now, move AO units from the flown box into ready box. So, if we have any units in the flown box, they can now all return into ready box. Like here, 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 and the same we do with Chinese units. Next, AO units may rebase. And now, if you have any of your AO units in the different boxes and you want to move them into the other boxes, you can do it now. For example, let's say I would like to rebase some of my units from Japan into the Vietnam. So they are flying here, and now they are placed in the flown box. Alright, so they cannot be used in the next turn. They are actually flying there because it's quite a long distance between Japan and Vietnam, but they will be able to provide us any support, combat, and so in the turn 3. So this is important to remember about the proper order. First you move your units from the flown box into the ready box, and then you rebase your units from the ready boxes into the flown boxes of the other AO boxes. Alright, now roll for availability of AO units in the recovery aborted box. Okay, some of our units ended in the abort box. Some boxes have even recovery box. These are for the units that are operating from the long distance, just like these American bombers in the US Guam base. But we don't have any units here. And now we have to roll for each of them. If we get 1 to 9, they are moved into the flown box. And if we get 0, they are moved into ready box. So let's make a rolls. First, flown, 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 flown. But for example, let's say that I rolled 0. If I would roll 0, this unit would be able to move straight into the ready box. For example, you can see that this is not the same for each boxes. For example, in a Thailand box, if you get 0 or 1, then your units move from the aborted into ready. In the Guam, if you get 0 or 9, it can be moved into the ready as well. So this can be different from every box, and you would better check for the number than play with the same numbers everywhere. And now you do the same with Chinese units. I'm not going to do so because it would take more time, and this video will be quite long again. Alright, so let's go into the next step. Roll for okay, I did it. Move all special forces markers from the used box to the available box. So we used some of our special forces, and now they, after when they were used, we moved them into the used box, and now we are moving them into the available box again. Save to the ones that were eliminated. They are eliminated, and we are not able to use them anywhere. Okay, next. Reset IA mobile points. If we used our IA mobile points, we have now to remove IA mobile points used markers. We place it on 0, and we can still we are again have our IA mobile points fully operational. Alright, next. Remove tunnel markers. This is only for next war Korea, so we don't care about it. And next, conduct clearing operations. And now, this is something we have to do now. We have some clearing operations to do in this game, and we are starting with strategic display. Our units are in this island area, and we can try to take a control over it. So we need to conduct clearing operations. We have a table, and now first we have to check if we have minimum safe stacking points. For the island area, we need 2 stacking points. And now we have 1, 2. So this is fine. This means that even if we fail, we won't suffer any losses. If we don't spend this, if we don't have these minimum safe stacking points, and if we fail, then our leading unit suffers 1 step loss. So it is important to remember about this number. Now we have to check for modifiers. First. First we have to check this counter and flip it to see our clearing number. It is 4. So we have to roll 4 or more to clear this island area. So let's take a look at modifiers. Clearing in Vietnam? No, we are in the Paracels Islands. Clearing from amphibious assault? No. Per additional installation on Hex? No. Clearing Hex and Hanoi? No. If units clearing in the stern of being paradropped or using air mobile movement? Yes. We are transported here with air mobile movement, so we get negative -1. Stack includes leg and armor and or mechanized infantry? No, we have only leg units here. Differences between efficiency rating and clearing number. So now we have to choose our leading unit, let it be this unit, and we have subtract clearing number from its efficiency rating. It's 6 minus 4, so it provides us +2. We had -1 for air mobile movement, and now we have +2, so we have total of +1. Now, differences between stacking points and minimum safe stacking points. We have 2 and we have 2, so it's 0. But we have to remember that this modifier can be only negative. If you have more stacking points than minimum safe stacking points, then you get nothing. But if you have less, then you get negative modifier. So we have total of +1, so it is quite good, I believe. And now we have to make a roll to see if we were able to clear this island area or not. So let's make a roll. 6. 6 plus 1 is 7, so we made it. We can remove this clearing marker and place Chinese flag here. So Fenggu is captured and controlled by China. We have one more clearing operation here. It is in this captured air base in Vietnam. So let's take care about it. So it is installation, so we need 2 stacking points to perform this operation safely. 1, 2. So we have enough. Now, wow, 6. So this will be harder. And now let's take a look on modifiers. Clearing in Vietnam? Yes, -1. Additional installation? No. Amphibious assault? No. And Hanoi? No. Our units were para-dropped? Yes. So we have -1, -2. Stack includes leg and armor or mechanized units? Yes. This is armored mechanized unit, this is leg unit, so we have +1. So we had -2 and now we have +1, so we have -1. Difference between efficiency rating and clearing number. Let's take this unit as a leading force. It has 6, -6 is 0, and difference between stacking points and minimum safe stacking points, it's 0 again. So we have -1. Oh, we failed. So this air base is not under Vietnamese control. Sorry, under Chinese control. That's bad. But you can see clearing sometimes can be easy, but sometimes can be very hard. It depends mostly on what counter will you get. Alright, so we conduct clearing operations. Now determine hex control changes. Alright, and now this is something we have to care. Because we marked some of the hex during the game as pending control. Just like here. And now we have to check if who controls these hexes and if we get any victory points for them or not. Now I have to check if we get control over enemy town, we get additional +1 victory point. So we captured this town, so we have +1 for China. Next we captured this town, so we get another +1 for China. Now on to the north. We captured these 2 towns, so we get another 2 victory points for China. And here we didn't capture any towns, so that's all when it comes to the control change. Remove chemical support markers. We didn't use any chemical weapons in this turn. Now, remove all detection, targeted and emergency supply markers. Now, targeted and detected. So you can see if we will try to detect these units again, we will have to do it in the next turn because they won't be detected anymore. Alright. Next, flip beachheads to in supply. We don't have to care about it. And now, rotate all in supply headquarters artillery that bear no strike marker to reflect full combat capabilities. So, if we used our artillery units or headquarters and they are in supply, we can flip them now onto their normal side, so they will be able to provide us some support in the next turn again. Alright. Now, rotate all headquarters artillery that bear strike 1 marker to reflect remaining combat capability. If we have any units with strike markers, they are not able to headquarter or artillery units. They can be rotate only once. So we don't have such situations here, so I will show you how what I mean. For example, let's assume that this headquarter was used twice, and it bears 1 strike marker. And now, because of that, it can be rotate only once, because it bears 1 strike marker. Units that bears 2 strike markers, for example this Vietnamese headquarter here, cannot be rotated at all. They should be rotated like that, because they get 2 strikes, but they can't return into normal because of these 2 strike markers. Okay, let's remove this because he was fine. Okay, next. Remove all interdiction strike markers and flip all interdiction strike 2 markers into the interdiction strike 1 markers. We don't have any interdiction strike markers on the board. And next, remove all strike 1 markers and flip all strike 2 markers onto their strike 1 side. So, we have, I should remove this detection marker. We have 1 strike 2 marker here, so we have to move it onto the strike 1, or change it. And now we have 1 more strike marker here, down below, so we can remove it. And now we have 1 strike 2 markers on the Chinese surface action group, which is here in China. Now, because this unit is in China, it can be repaired onto the strike 1. If this unit would be on the sea zone, then it wouldn't be able to regain its combat capability. Because naval units can be repaired only when they are in their ports. Okay, both players may spend supply points to repair air defense trucks and installations. Alright, this is pretty important thing. Because during the game, our air defense trucks could be damaged by the enemy strikes. And now, this is a moment when we are able to repair any damages we suffered. How to do it? We need to pay supply points to get our air defense systems repaired using this repair table. We spend 2 supply points to repair 1 SAM point or detection point, or 4 supply points to repair 1 anti-air artillery point. But we cannot spend more than 4 supply points during this phase. Also, we might spend 2 supply points to flip destroyed marker on our airbase, airfield or port into the strike 2. So, Chinese player has his air defense of 7 and 8 or on 7, and Vietnamese player has on the 6. So I will spend 2 supply points Vietnam to get my detection truck repaired. It is 7 now, so I have to pay 2 supply points from my supply points number. I have 32 now, and now I'm going to spend another 2 supply points to repair one of my installations, and it will be my air base here. Oh my, again my camera goes crazy. So now it's moved from the destroyed into the strike 2. So I have to take strike 2 marker and place it here. So that's when it comes to the spending your supply points to repair your stuff. Okay, and that's all for this reorganization phase. And now we are moving into reinforcement and replacement phase, which will be probably the last phase we have to care about in this video. At the beginning of this phase we have to check if any of the neighboring countries will join the war. We have 4 countries that might join the war: Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia and Thailand. And in this phase, if during the turn Chinese units will enter parcels or Spartless Islands, we have to make rolls to see if any of these countries will intervene. First we are starting with Philippines. We have to make a roll, and if we get 0 till 3, it enters the war on the non-allied side. If 4-6, it remains neutral, and if we get 7 to 9, it enters the war on allied side. So let's make a roll. Oh, it's 7. So it enters the war on the allied side. And Philippines are quite interesting because their units have 2 different sides with different color, blue and red. If they are fighting on the allied side, they have a blue. If they are fighting on the non-allied side, this means Chinese side, they get red, which you can see have lower combat efficiency. So we are placing all the Philippines units in the Philippines. They won't be used in this turn, but you can see there is a number of them. Of course they are not very strong, but even having them can be quite useful for allies. And next we have to make a roll for Malaysia. 7. If 7, Malaysia joins allies. This is quite good because Malaysia has a number of good planes. They have 3 AO units, and now we are able to use them on the allied side, which is good. Their land area is pretty small, it's here, but you can still get some of their units. Next is Indonesia. Let's make a roll for them. 1. If we get 0 or 1, it enters the war on non-allied side. So Indonesia joins China. That's interesting, because this is they have a very small chance of joining China. You have to roll 0 or 1 to make them join China, but even so we get it. So in this war they would join China, and this is bad because they have 4 air units, and these 4 air units are both quite strong, so it will be quite painful. And finally Thailand. As for Thailand, this is more interested, because if US intervention is on the level 3 or 4, the allied player may spend victory points to make Thailand join him. But if US intervention is on the level 2, so we cannot spend any our victory points, so we have to make a roll. We get 5. If we get 5, Thailand remains neutral, so they are not going to join any war for now. But if in the next turn a Chinese player would also occupy Spartlis, we would have to roll for Thailand again. Okay, so that's all when it comes to the minor countries joining the war. And now we have to take care of reinforcement and replacement phase, all other activities, because we are doing this stuff at the beginning of this phase before any other stuff will occur. Okay, both sides place reinforcements including supply missile points in the game turn according to the scenario reinforcements scheduled. Okay, so we have to check reinforcement schedule and see if we get any units in this turn. In the game turn 1, allied player gains only one kind of reinforcements. These are psdf, this means People Self-Defense Force, and we have to place all of them into the opaque cap and then draw randomly 3 of them. So I will draw randomly 3 of these psdf units. 1, 2, and oh wow, okay, oh god, 3. Alright, so I have 3 of them. You can see they have different colors and they are matching military regions colors. So you are allowed to place them anywhere in their military regions. You can see 1, 2 or 3. And now what makes them special? They are leg units. They don't have movement and attack values. So once they are placed, they can't be moved. They cannot attack anyone, but they can defend, of course. They have a combat efficiency of 5, and they can be placed in any installation, town or city in their military region. Or you can use them in the other way. If enemy has any of your city installation or stuff marked with clearing marker, but he doesn't finished it, it is still under clearing marker, you can place these psdf units on the other side with -1 clearing side. And thanks to this, enemy on such a hex will get additional negative -1 modifier. So this one belongs to the mobile military region 3. This one goes to 2 and this one goes to 1. So as for military region 2, I will place them here because they will be, I think, quite effective on this hex. And now they belong to the military region 1, which is here, and I will place them here to defend this city. And now they belong to the military region 3, so I can place them somewhere down here, or even I can place them in Hanoi if I like to. For example, this would make sense to defend this part of Hanoi. And this is about Vietnamese reinforcements. US player and British player gains no reinforcements this turn. As for Chinese player, he gets 81 corps, or sorry, army group, and it is placed. He places it on the north edge on the board between hex rows 4000 and 4801, and they will be able to enter this game, enter the game in the next turn, starting from this part of the board. He also gets 2 marine units that are placed in China and will be able to use again. And finally he gets 1 Special Operation Forces counter. And now, if you don't have enough Special Forces counters, for example, you have all of them already in available marker, available box, you don't get any. But if you have some of your Special Forces counters eliminated, then you can remove them from eliminated box and placed again in the available box if reinforcements calls for more Special Forces units. So they go there, and that's all when it comes to the reinforcements. Next we go to the replacement. Replacements are expressed in points that allow you to repair your damaged units, your damaged A counters, and so. First we have to check how many replacement points each player gets in this turn. It was turn 1, so I don't think there will be a lot of them. Need to check. Vietnamese player gets 1 and Chinese player gets none. So Vietnamese player gets 1, so he may let me show you. We have here replacement reconstitution table. Here are kind of our units, here are their size, and here is the cost expressed in replacement points. So for example, if you have infantry division or brigade that were damaged and you want to give them step recovery, you have to spend 1 replacement point. But if you want to reconstitute such division, because it was eliminated, you need 2 supply points. Some of units cannot be reconstituted once destroyed, so this is particularly true to airborne units, marines units, air mobile units. As you can see, they are not allowed to reconstitute. As for air mobile units, you can't even give step recovery to the division. You can only spend 3 replacement points, which is quite a big number, to recover them. And if you want to recover your headquarter, you have also spent not replacement points, but supply points. You can see this tells us that you need supply points to recover headquarter or supreme headquarter, and if you want to reconstitute them, you have to spend 2 supply points and 1 replacement point. Or for supreme headquarter, you need 5 supply points and 1 replacement point. So there is a big number of them. So it is sometimes it is better to hold your replacement points for the moment you will really need them. Also, you cannot offer step recovery to your units that are adjacent to the enemy units. So for example, let's assume I would like this unit would be weakened, it suffered 1 step loss, and now I am not allowed to use replacement points here because it is adjacent to the enemy units, it's in their zone of control. But if it would be here, then I would be able to spend a proper number of replacement points and make it return to its full glory. And same goes to AO units. You can spend a number of your replacement points. It is written in the game specific rules, and you can give them a full, make them fully operational. But when you are making your unit, your AO unit back into normal, it has to be placed in the flown box. And I think that's all when it comes to the reinforcement and replacement phase. Yes, now we have finally victory determination phase. In this phase we have to check how many victory points each side gained during this turn. So let's go onto the matrix table, and now I have to check, because I eliminated a couple of units in this turn, so I have to check how many victory points I get. I get 1 victory point for eliminated enemy battalion. I don't have any enemy battalions eliminated on neither side. I get 2 victory points for each brigade eliminated. So I have 1 Chinese brigade eliminated, so Vietnamese player gets +2, and I get 3 victory points for each division eliminated. And I managed to eliminate 3 Vietnamese division. So Chinese player gets 9 victory points, so he gets 17 now. And finally, I eliminated 3 Chinese AO units. For each AO unit eliminated, I get +2. So I have 2, and now I have 8. And one allied air unit, so Chinese player gets +1, +2. So he gets 19. And now I can see how many victory points I get during this turn. So now I have to remove these victory points, this turn markers. First I have to check if any side gathered enough victory points to get initiative in the next turn. I need to check. For this scenario, initiative victory points is 15 and automatic victory points is 70. So neither side get enough victory points to get instant victory or initiative. So now I can remove these markers and replace them with victory points, with total victory points. So for example, I have total victory points here, and as for China, where do I have my victory points counter? Looks like I didn't take it from the box. Now I have to take a look for it for a while, sorry. Oh, I forgot that it's here, because China get a lot of victory points at the beginning of the game. So they have 43, and now they have 43 plus 19. 43 plus 19 is 62. So they go here on the 62. And I am removing these victory points this turn markers. And now the difference between victory points is 62 and 8. 62 minus 8 is 54. So Chinese player has enough victory points to have initiative in the next turn. Alright, that's how it goes. I hope I was able to show you most of the stuff that belongs to the advanced rules of the Next War system. Of course, that's not all. There is stuff about nuclear weapons, about chemical weapons that I skipped here, and also United Nations veto. But I think I managed to show you about 80% of the, maybe even 90% of the game. So I hope that if you will be playing this game, this video will be helpful for you to learn how to play this game and this system. And if you will have any more questions, feel free to ask. I am all yours. Thank you for watching of my longest video ever made so far, and see you again. Hello and welcome to the fourth part of my video about Next War system advanced rules, shown on the example of the Next War Vietnam game, which is so far most recent game of the series. And yes, this is the fourth part of the video, and it turns out to be one of my longest videos ever made. Yeah, but well, if I want to show you this how this system works in details, I have no other choice but to go through with all this stuff. Alright, so let's return into our player 8, and we went through initiative, movement and combat phase, and now we have a second strike phase, which is played in the initiative turns only. It says, same as first strike phase, except the carrier-based aircraft cannot perform strikes. So, if we have our American carrier group here, it just left Indian Ocean holding box, and it has some aircraft here. These two should be flown, sorry. So normally we would be able to use these two aircraft, especially this one, white vessel would be quite handy, but we can't. Alright, as for the all the other stuff is the same as the first strike phase. So I talked a lot about it before, so I don't think I would need to talk about it again. So we can skip it for now. Of course, this is not a video how to win this game, but I'm focusing on the rules. So showing you everything else, once again would be pointless, I believe. So let's move into the second supply phase, again initiative turn only. Now this is quite interesting because for us, for the turn 1 of the game, this is actually first supply phase, since you don't play first supply phase in the turn 1 of the game. Alright, start. Remove out of supply markers from the units that are no longer out of supply. No, we don't have any out of supply markers on the board so far. Check for unsupplied units. Place out of supply marker on any unit that is unsupplied. Alright, so now the fun starts. Let's talk a bit about supply. In this game you have two different things that you have to care about. Supply and supply points. First, supply. As for supply, we have a quite handy player aid here that shows us distances between units that we have to keep to get our units supplied. In this particular game, supply bases are our edges of the boards with highways and primary roads coming from. Then we can use also ports, urban hexes, and these are our supply bases. As for Vietnamese units that belong to the certain military regions, they also are able to use towns. Finally, we might use our supply bases. For example, Vietnam has a supply base here. We can also use our headquarters or our mobile supply point units to make our supply lines longer, which is quite useful when you are going through the enemy land and you want to keep your units in supply. Alright, so let's check if our units are in supply or not. Let's start with China, and I think they don't have much trouble so far. Let's take a look at them. Sorry, gotta move some stuff a bit. Alright, first you may ask about these airborne units here. Yes, they should be definitely out of supply, because we have a supply base here, our beachhead, but this hex and that hex are in the enemy zones of control. But airborne units have supply automatically in the entire turn where they were jumped out and make their paradrop landing. So they all have a supply. We don't have to feel worried about them. And now all these units in the west. Now they are not very far, so we can check for this highway as their supply line. So we are we are checking supply in the style of motorized units. So we are checking if we can trace a supply line from this edge of the board with motorized points. And here is highway, so we have to check how many movement points we pay for motorized units moving through the highway, and it is 1/3. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, even 4 would be here, but it's 4, so our mobile supply unit is in supply, and now it can trace more supply points, sorry, more supply line to the units here and there. So these units are all in supply. Alright, that's fine. The question is if these units are in supply, and I think they are not. Why? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, sorry, for the secondary road it is a half or 1. Need to make check. 1. Oh my, this could be bad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So no, they don't have supply, so we have to mark them as out of supply units. there will be a way to carry them some supply later, but I will talk about them when we will finish tracing our lines of supply. Alright, so now these units, I think they are all, they don't have to worry about it, because as for this group, they have their line here, so they are all in supply, and here is also, there is a supply base here, so they are fine. And now these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, so they are all in supply. 1, 2, 3, 4, so they are in supply. And now the question is if they are in supply as well. We have a mobile supply unit here, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, all of them are in supply, so they are fine. As for Vietnam, I don't even have to check, because you can see they can all trace supply lines from their from the canoe or from this base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so they are all fine. And you may ask about this unit here. They are a mobile region unit, so they are in the town, so they are in supply. Alright, so everything works fine for Vietnam. And now let's talk a bit about supply points. Each player has a number of supply points at the beginning of the game, and sometimes he gets some more as reinforcements. And how they are used. First, according to the game's special rules, we have to pay supply points if we have Allied units on in the Vietnamese airports. So we have a couple of American airplanes in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, so we have to spend 1 American supply point. So let's take a look on the matrix table. We have 5 American supply points at the beginning of the game, so we have to pay 1 of them. Next, we also have a couple of British planes here, so we have to pay 1 American or 1 Vietnamese supply points for them. Alright, so they are fine, they are supplied, so we will be able to use them in the next turn as well. And finally, you may ask about this unsupplied unit here. If he's doomed to be out of supply? No. We can always try to do something with this stuff.